Welcome back to Nadya's Notes. I'm so happy to see you. I hope you had a very pleasant day and are going to have a fantastic evening, and happy that you're back. If you like the content that I put out, please like, please subscribe, please share. Okay, today I wanted to talk about intuition again, but another aspect of it. So let's say you go on a date or you're talking to someone on a dating site, or you met someone in another way. Do you listen to your intuition in terms of how you're being treated? That's super duper important. So like, if you're talking to the person and they're not asking you questions about yourself, if they're only interested in talking about themselves, not necessarily a great sign. You might be one of these people who's amazing at asking questions, but if you're not, then that's kind of unequal distribution of energy. Then is that person respectful? Are they treating you in a way where you feel like you're being honored? If they're not, that's a problem. Are you having an interesting conversation, a type of encounter that you are feeling their investment of energy into your meeting? Or is it just one-sided? Like, I've had experiences where I would give and give and give and give, and it's taken me quite a while to understand that the reason I was doing that is I didn't feel enough energy or input from the person, so I would fill up the emotional space with myself. The danger in doing that is that you don't give the person a chance to show who they are and what they bring to the interaction, although sometimes what they're bringing can easily be not sufficient for, what you want to experience, or what you're expecting, or what you're used to, or what you want. So that's another thing to kind of accept, remember, and honor. So that's another place where intuition comes in. Is your intuition telling you that there is like an equal investment of energy? Are you exchanging energy when you're in contact with each other? So you can have this in all modes of communication. So for example, you can have an unequal exchange of energy in texting, in conversation, in just the emotional energy that you're bringing to each other. So like the other day I had an interaction, and the person wanted to like meet me and get to know me, and the person wanted to meet. But the messages they were sending were so one-sided. They were all about what their day was like, what they did, their joke, and I didn't feel an equal response to what I was putting out. So the person was like, I did this and this, there and there. And I was like, well, I've never been there. And they're like, well, it's located there and there. I was like, okay. And then they proceeded to tell me that like something about the place where they were. And then I was like, okay, sounds good, I guess. There wasn't like, what was interesting is there was not a question like, how did you spend your day? What did you do? Did anything interesting happen? That didn't happen. Granted, maybe they wanted to like save that for like a phone call or something else, I don't know. But speaking of intuition or honoring one's feelings, I felt uncomfortable with the conversation, and the way that I was dealing with it is I was kind of like answering in an authentic way, like whatever that conversation was bringing out in me, I was putting it on the page. And the person was not able to meet me there. They didn't say anything like, they didn't say anything funny back or snarky. I was being slightly snarky. or anything else of that nature, and it made me feel like the conversation was super one-sided. And so that's something to be aware of. And I don't know if things like that change very much as you're interacting with someone, because like I think it's taken me a while to understand that energy or who the person is by the time that they're an adult is kind of not set in stone, but the flavor has been defined by adulthood, if not by childhood to begin with. So like waiting for someone to like show up or open up, yes, that can happen, and you also feel that from a person, or they might tell you, like they might say, hey, I'm the kind of person that's like shy at first, it takes me a while to open up. That's a good exchange of energy, because the person is self-aware enough that they're cluing you in on what's happening. So if they know that this is a pattern that they have and that's like totally natural to them, it only makes sense that they would be like, hey, there's this thing I know about myself and it just takes me a while. Once I feel comfortable, then I'm like open and sharing and, you know, into equal exchange. But not all people are like that. Some people are very much, and unequal exchange can also very much look like when the person takes up all of the space, like the conversation is just about them, where they went, just like the exchange you had the other day, what they did, what their thoughts on it are. And then I guess you could engage with it in different ways, but it will require a lot of effort versus just when there's like a natural flow to a conversation, if that makes sense. So when you're interacting with new people, it makes sense to be aware of whether or not there's equality in the interaction. If they're investing emotionally, like for me, it's very important that someone also invests emotionally in the interaction, not just like that they're open and kind of like authentic and kind. And you know, you could tell when a person is like that, like a teddy bear. That's a nice energy when they share their energy when you are interacting. That's a really wonderful sensation. But I guess on my end, it requires stepping back a little bit and letting them step into that role, because I will immediately fill up the space so that I don't feel uncomfortable. But maybe it's okay to feel uncomfortable for a little bit for the sake of figuring out what the natural dynamic is, because if I'm filling up all the space, and maybe some of you do that as well, then you're bringing a lot of your own energy into the interaction, so then you feel energized. But you're feeling energized by your own effort more so than by what the other person is bringing into the interaction. And so that could cloud kind of your perception of what happened. And I mean, in my case, it does, because I just like amp up the emotional response to kind of keep the connection strong, at least for myself, right? And then it leaves me kind of unable to really evaluate what happened, because I filled up all the spaces with myself. Yeah. Anyway, as you see, I'm trying a new format. I don't know how long it will last. We shall see. I can't even tell you, you know, do I have enough to say on this topic or I don't, so bear with me. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the authenticity that we share. I appreciate that you're here with me on this journey. And Thank you for being with me, as usual. And see you tomorrow. Mwah.